Venezuelan aid to Dominica not likely to be affected by the current crisis there. DOASCO collaborates with PAHO and CAFA in developing a water safety plan for the country. And the Nature Island paper products about to make a comeback with local investors. I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. The details coming up. First up in the news, an assurance that Venezuelan aid to Dominica will continue amid a crisis in that country, which has led to a shortage in food, medicine, electricity and toiletries. Idona John Baptist reports.
The word from Venezuelan ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Hayden Pirela, is that the government of Venezuela has not ended or will not withdraw ongoing aid to Dominica. He said his government is still in a position to continue all projects within the Caribbean.
A ti nada más, no, sino a todos.
Not only you, to everybody.
Para que vamos a Gran B, no está parado las Petrocasas.
To see Gran B, the project of Petrocasa is still.
Y esos son dinero de Venezuela.
And that's money from Venezuela.
Estamos esperando
We are waiting
el sexto cuerpo de ingenieros
the sixth corps of engineers of Venezuela
para ayudar a la reconstrucción del aeropuerto.
to start rebuilding the part of the airport.
No vamos a parar.
We are not stopping.
Vamos a seguir
We will continue
aquí
here
ayudando
helping
a Dominica.
to Dominica.
Meantime, Ambassador Pirela said measures have been taken to cater to Dominican students like all others from different parts of the world, including Africa, Nicaragua and Palestine, studying at Venezuelan universities.
Esta es la situación de Venezuela.
But as a result of the situation in Venezuela,
Se toman medidas especiales con ellos.
we are taking special measure with all of them.
No ha venido ningún familiar de ellos
No one of those relatives of those family of the students has been come here
que me diga,
to tell me
mi hijo está pasando hambre en Venezuela.
my son is hungry in Venezuela.
No es así.
That's not true.
Los estamos cuidando.
We are taking care of all of them.
As it relates to Vincentians studying in Venezuela, the ambassador has confirmed reports out of St. Vincent that their students have returned to St. Vincent just for the summer break. The government of St. Vincent offered them a one-way ticket back home. His Excellency Pirela has assured that if Dominican students end up in distress as a result of the current situation in his country, he will inform the public. As a result of the food shortage, there have been protests and burglaries in Venezuela, notwithstanding his account that some of the images circulating on the internet are in reference to a then economic crisis in Venezuela 2 years ago. CNN has filed this report revealing the situation on the ground.
We're not allowed to shoot inside, but outside people tell us they line up for hours and still get nothing.
Y tenemos hambre, necesidad.
We are hungry, we have needs, we have no food. Look at this line. Mothers who are hungry, we need food, medicine. We can't find anything. What's finishing us off? Hunger, she says. Police are in control here, herding people and making sure they're shopping on their government-allotted 2 days a week. The only way around this, buying from a bachaquero, a black market middleman. We followed one customer on a shopping trip as covert as any drug deal, but he's buying food.
And this is what goes on here. Black markets have opened up in so many neighborhoods. People just can't get the essentials.
Pirela has also said that his family and family of Venezuelans working at the Venezuelan embassy in Dominica are living comfortably in Venezuela. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
In more major developments, DOASCO is taking steps to create a water safety plan for the country. Andrea Louis has more.
The initiative is being spearheaded by the Dominica Water and Sewerage Company, DOASCO, and is expected to benefit 3 water catchment areas.
The main focus will be on water area 1, which is the area that serves all the way from Miro to Castle Comfort. It's a major water system. We are looking at the catchment area that serves Lubia to Point Michel, and that is the Snob Corner water catchment area. That is another one, as well as the Soufriere-Scottshead area. A safety plan for water will ensure that whatever water is consumed is safe. It will look at the prioritization of water needs in terms of disasters, in times of disasters, and so forth. So that it is a holistic approach in the way we manage water to make it and make sure it's safe for consumption.
The Pan American Health Organization is also on board with helping Dominica create its own water safety plan. The PAHO representative says a water safety plan is extremely important for any country.
But in the case of St. Vincent, for example, we did this water safety plan shortly before the Christmas trough hit. And what the water safety plan identified as some of the challenges of heavy rainfall was exactly what happened when the Christmas trough hit. But because they had the document in hand and because the committee had already formed, it made responding to the Christmas trough much easier for them. And since then they have been working further and trying to protect the sources of water and doing upland prevention.
The Environmental Health Department, also a key stakeholder in the formulation of the water safety plan, says that this plan can significantly help to reduce the incidence of waterborne illnesses in the country.
Water safety plan takes into consideration the whole chain of the water supply system, from catchment to the cup. So, for example, the catchment can be contaminated by human activities, disposal of waste and agricultural activities, construction. These are some of the things that can affect the catchment areas. As we know, water is a health determinant. It's a medium by which numerous organisms can be transmitted and cause disease. So the implementation of a water safety plan would reduce the burden of disease on Dominicans and improve the health of Dominicans as much as possible.
The Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARFA, was also represented at the one-day workshop.
In delivering the water to the public, residents, visitors, and sale of water on the regional or international level, water has to be of a particular quality in order to ensure that the health risk from the consumption of that water does not exist. So in developing that water safety plan for Dominica, we would be looking at what are the hazards that exist, what are the health risks, and finding ways and measures in order to mitigate that risk and in order to ensure that the water that is supplied to the public is safe and there would be no health concerns.
The water safety plan is projected to be completed by the end of the year. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And 4 Dominicans to be recognized for their significant contribution to the field of music on Friday. This as the Music Lovers Government Band observes its 65th anniversary this month.
We have Mrs. Leng Serendo. As you know, Mrs. Serendo had been a teacher since in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm telling you, Mrs. Serendo has been the one who has really put music on a high in Dominica. She taught me, and she taught me how to teach and everything like that. So we are honoring her. And then there's Major Francis Richards. Okay. Yes, we're honoring him. He's since resigned from the band in 2013, but he has been a stalwart, and he has been one for organizing all functions we've had when he was there, as well as he was a trumpeter.
Jared Jean-Jacques is among the 2 young men who have excelled in the field of music and will also be recognized on Friday.
He is only 12, going on 13, I think, this month or next month, and he has attained 3 merits, one in trombone, one in trumpet, one in euphonium at grade 8. Then the other is Cameron Douglas, bandsman Cameron Douglas. Cameron has elevated himself to a position of grade 8 saxophonist in a matter of maybe 8 years, 9 years. He was so consistent, and now he's one of the better players in the government band.
Though officially celebrating its 65th anniversary on 7th of June, the band still faces challenges in putting on its annual productions.
One of the biggest is a band house. Right? We have been clamoring for that for years, and up to this present time is yet to materialize. Well, the band is not a full-time band, right? And there are guys who work on it, always a problem getting them off, like when we have functions. And another thing, practicing, you can never get a full house all the time. I think that's one of the major obstacles. But barring that, I think the guys still pull their weight, and whenever we are called to perform, we do it.
The Dominica Music Lovers Government Band will host its 65th anniversary concert on Friday, the 3rd of June, from 7:30 p.m. at the Rosicrucian Berth under the distinguished patronage of the Honorable Prime Minister, Roosevelt Skerrit. Efforts at sensitizing the Dominican public on the effects of hurricanes and other weather systems continue this week. This as the Office of Disaster Management, ODM, hosts Hurricane Preparedness Week from the 29th of May to the 3rd of June. An exhibition on the ground floor of government headquarters was the main activity on Wednesday.
We did request of the churches to say prayers on Sunday to ask God's guidance and protection on the people and the country during this hurricane season. And from Monday, we'll be having radio discussions, again to highlight some of the things that the do's and don'ts, and to ensure that Dominicans are aware of what to do and how to respond if a storm were to be announced.
While reiterating the importance of hurricane shelters in the community, Shillingford says Dominicans can build their homes in a safer and stronger manner in order to reduce the impact of weather systems.
The shelters are in place, and there are well over 100 shelters. Somebody did make the point that it appears that we are building better structures now. So right now we have less and less need for public shelters. However, you must have at least one shelter in every community. We also encourage people to build in such a way that they have their own shelters. Because if you have a two-story building, the basement can be a good shelter for hurricane. And even if it's a single-story unit, you can design a section of the building to be your strong room or your hurricane shelter.
Residents of Newtown benefited from a community meeting on Thursday as part of Hurricane Preparedness Week activities. And a 56-year-old chef from Portsmouth is well on his way to making some of his dreams come true. And $245,000 is a pretty good start for an aspiring businessman. The first Super 6 winner for 2016 picked up his check on Thursday.
I have a few families in mind I would like to help, because watching the condition, I want to do that and take a rest, take a trip maybe with my son, my good friend here, and just have a good time, and then invest the rest. I'm a chef by occupation, so I might have my own business, through that. That's my intention, that's my plans.
The winning ticket was purchased at Fadul's store in Roseau, and Lotto officials say these winnings by everyday Dominicans continue to stimulate the economy.
As of June 2nd, today, we have paid out over $1.4 million to winners from the National Lottery, where people play and they win. This amount does not include what we have given out in good causes, what we have given out to assist in sports and culture, and throughout the various contributions that we have been making. We continue to urge the public to support our games, support all the games of National Lottery, because it's by your playing and your winning that you can be like Mr. Lawrence, and you can also be a beneficiary of all the winnings that we have been giving out over the past time.
You're watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, does financial literacy get the attention it deserves? One businessman says no. Thank you for staying with us. An expanded variety of locally produced paper products expected to be seen in Dominica in the near future. Andrea Louis has more.
This as Nature Island Paper Products Inc., NIP Inc., makes way for Nature Island People's Paper Company, Nibco, later this year. In February, NIP Inc. had declared that it was up for sale. However, manager of the company said that due to the concern of Dominicans in keeping the company local, a transition is being made to Nibco, where Dominicans will be able to invest in the company.
The company is registered as a private limited liability company. The company will offer shares in private offerings to those interested and meet the criteria set by the directors. The minimum investment in the private offering will be $1,000. The company intends to expand its operations with the investment in new machinery for the production of other paper products. The company intends to position itself to take advantage of the $5 million local market and to prepare for export, including the emerging Cuban market.
McDonald Thomas, former employee at the Caribbean Development Bank and former local government commissioner in Dominica, will oversee the transition of the company until its shareholders' meeting on 31st August.
I think it's an honor for us as Dominicans to have the opportunity to participate in the manufacturing sector. There is, in fact, a tendency for us to see areas like this to be outside our scope and require direct foreign investment in order for us to make any progress in that sector. I mean, history has shown us that it's possible, and with this new indigenous company, I think there is an opportunity for Dominicans again to have a real stake.
Nibco expects to produce a wider variety of paper products, including table napkins, printing paper, and baby wipes.
There are two main questions that people ask. Why would we give up the ownership of a lucrative company? The answer is simple. We cannot do it alone with the present structure. And number two, how can we challenge the competition? We believe that with a united front of a broad-based ownership of the company, we will be able to take on the competition heads-on by matching them brand for brand and role for role.
The company intends to create in excess of 25 jobs in its first year. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
And one local businessman believes Dominicans need to be a little more savvy in managing their money in the current global financial climate. Recently, clients threatened to close their accounts at Royal Bank after they discovered the bank's plans to impose a $25 fee on their accounts each month, a measure they said they had not been informed of. The RBC said it was working to deliver value to customers and shareholders.
Depositors, and all over in Roseau, lots of them are taking out their money. In St. Vincent, the same thing, St. Kitts. But you must think twice, not about taking out your money, and of course you have your right to go wherever you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable with one bank, go to another. But you have to be sure that other bank meets your needs. That's what the ECB is stressing. What are your goals in terms of finance? You may go to another bank, knee-jerk and find out, well, that bank, in a few months is raising their fees too. Or they're not, or you have lost faith with them in the past because they were not meeting, say, your needs in terms of projects, in terms of the yield from saving accounts and so on. One of the things the ECB has stressed is that when the bank put these kind of fees on savings account, they're discouraging people from saving and securing their money. So it's important that before people nilly-willy withdraw from any bank, that they look at the consequences of moving their account and what their goals are in terms of their future. And that's what the ECC Bank has been stressing. Me and my wife are looking at the options because first we were very disappointed we didn't have advance notice. And so we are reviewing because, as I mentioned, that $25 fee is significant. It's significant. But you have to look at what you get from the other banks and what is coming at the other banks. So we're not rushing. We're taking the ECCB's advice and looking at all our options, And that's what everybody must do. And that's the beauty of the free enterprise system where you have competition.
Bellot says normally one saves money in hopes of attracting interest, but what's going on now is the opposite. He commends the efforts of the ECCB and its partners for providing financial education for the public.
But in fairness to the banks, not because they haven't tried to educate people, as you may know, every year for a full month, I think it's September, the financial institutions get together and have programs to educate the public on those things. Sometimes I have found the banks do not initially provide my information. I've had to make noise and write serious letters of complaint, going back very long when I was more troublesome man than I am now, when you would sign various documents for loans and so on, and you don't get copies of those things. And I used to tell them, that's quite ridiculous. I want a copy of everything I sign. It's good for us to be savvy about and compare rates. Even when you have savings that you want to put to good use, say you have inherited a little something and you want to put it aside, before you just put it anywhere, get the rates you know, the deposit rates for 6 months, a year, 2 years from the various institutions, not only the bank, credit unions. In fact, I found out by research, credit unions were paying higher in deposit rates than any of the banks. You know, so it's always good to get information.
As far as the issue of bank fees are concerned, the ACCB's Monetary Council said it had already approved the recommendation for an ombudsman for financial services to handle complaints related to increased banking fees and charges. And the prediction for this year's hurricane season is, as you may already know, a near normal to above normal season, which means we expect more hurricanes this year than last year, which was a below normal season. But how prepared are we? What do we have at home in terms of supplies? And what's the condition of the home itself? How safe is it? Local experts believe we need to be more on guard as we are entering this hurricane season in a more vulnerable state due to the impact of Tropical Storm Erica. One of the most important aspects of preparation for the hurricane season is having accurate information in a timely manner, and that's where the Met Office comes in.
We are always prepared. We always putting out information. We continue to monitor the development of systems, even from the coast of Africa as it comes across the Atlantic to our area, and we continue to put out information to the public. But the onus is on the public to take this information and to always pay attention, listen to the weather report, and to follow the guidelines. Because we know that if we're expecting a lot of rain and you're living in an area like close to a river, and we expect the river to, with a lot of rain, we expect that the river would overflow its banks, then it would be on you to move. You know, someone will have to come and tell you, well, you have to move. But there is a 45% chance of a near normal season, a 30% chance of an above normal season, and a 25% chance of a below normal season. And the forecast is that there's a 70% chance that there is expected to be 10 to 16 named storms, 4 to 8 hurricanes, and in those 4 to 8 hurricanes, 1 to 4 is expected to be major hurricanes of category 3, 4, or 5, with winds of 111 miles per hour and greater.
Coming up, your sports highlights with Kenny Williams.
We kick off with football. 27 players have been called to duty to represent Dominica at the upcoming Caribbean Football Union's boys qualifiers in July. Gerald George has the list of players.
The players are Keanu Martin, Neil Gist, Nelson Maxime, Jovan Henry, Starrell, Serafin, Sherman Graham, Dante Peters, John Gregoire, Robert Humphrey, Dorel Maynard, Gabriel Frederick, Dickwan Honore, Perry Charles, Anton Francis, Jeremiah Timothy, Daniel Dupini, Odell Laville, Fitzroy Benjamin, Corbin Paul, Marcellus Boney, Mervyn Defoe, Devin Wade, Shanadi Charles, Yadi Reed, Zion Emmanuel, Jorel Laville, and Troy Serafin. Players are asked to report to the Football House in Bath Estate on Friday, 3rd June for a meeting at 4:30 p.m. with the technical staff, and training will begin on Saturday, 4th June at 9 a.m. at the Windsor Park Stadium.
The competition runs from July 20 to 24. Basketball action takes us to Lindo Park, where Kyrie FM Old School dominated their game 75-56 against Interschool in the 2016 Flow DABA League on Wednesday. Ron Abraham had a game high with 26 points, while Bert Benjamin chipped in with 19 for Old School. In a losing effort, Edmund Jr. Williams scored 22 and Ethan Boland 21 for Interschool. Meanwhile, rainfall forced the cancellation of the game between E.H. Charles Crossover and Eagles. The league continues on Friday between Paybush Snipers and Tigers at 7, followed by Eagles versus Signman X-Men at 9. Both games are carded for Paybush. Meanwhile, over at Massac, it will be Interschool against Digicel Cloud at 7 and Kelvadaru Hurricanes coming up against United Insurance Sharks at 9. Moving on to netball. The sports division started its Division II Primary Schools Netball Championships on Thursday with various schools competing. At La Plaine, Grand Forks Primary won the competition with 3 wins, while Mont John was the second runner-up with 2 wins. Meantime, Grand Bay had home advantage when they came first with 3 wins, with Tetmon coming in second. And at Margot, Siniku Primary dominated with 4 wins, and W.S. Stevens came in second with 3 victories. The competition is sponsored by the Swiss Embassy. Meanwhile, in Wednesday's games, W.S. Stevens pounded Castle Bruce Primary 18-2. Tetmon defeated Dubula Primary 9-4. Roosevelt Douglas Primary scored 13-10 against Dubula, and St. John's Primary defeated Goodwill 9-4. Back with more cricket, India is set to tour the West Indies for 7 weeks starting July 6 for 4 tests and 2 practice matches. The tests will be played in Antigua and Barbuda, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and Trinidad and Tobago. The tour will start with a 2-day practice match from July 9 in St. Kitts, followed by a 3-day warm-up match from July 14 at the same venue. The first test will begin July 21, the second July 30, the third August 9, and the last August 18. Back in football, 5 primary schools and 3 football academies are now better equipped to play football thanks to gears donated by Mars Sports Academy. The donation was made on Thursday.
Contribution of uniforms and balls were made to the Mars Sports Academy, and today, we have selected a number of schools and academy, and we are here to make the presentation. So we're asking all the schools and the sports-related schools to make good use of the uniforms. We are hoping that in the next couple of years we will see much better youth, that is the under-13 primary school football players, and a better competition among the schools.
The schools include St. Mary's, Convent Prep, St. Luke's, Newtown and Maho Primary Schools. Meantime, the academies which have already received football gear include Newtown Juvenile, Point Michel and Maho Football Academy. Finally, in sports, the sports division will begin the 2016 Primary Schools Cricket Championships on Friday. The competition will be played in the schools festival and district competition formats. The festival will be played among the schools on a round-robin format in 8 districts, while the district championship will comprise of the top players from the schools festival selected to represent their district teams. The district championship will be played on a kick-out basis. Friday's games will take place at Benjamin's Park, Botanic Gardens, the Jolly Johns and Dublin playing fields. Schools have been placed in 8 districts and will compete in 10 over-a-side matches before the top 2 teams from each district advance to the round of 16. The competition is sponsored by the Swiss Embassy. That's all the sports for now. I am Kenny Williams. Join us again next time.
And brief isolated showers ahead. Your weather report is next.
Good evening, Dominica, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I'm your presenter, Marsha Alexander. We begin by taking a look at earlier infrared satellite imagery and what it showed. A relatively dry atmosphere across the islands today following the passage of a tropical wave as a ridge of high pressure begins to establish itself across the area. Now taking a look at earlier visible satellite imagery and what it showed. A few low-level clouds just moved across Dominica today, and this resulted in fair to partly cloudy skies. Now taking a look at earlier radar imagery and what it indicated. Limited shower activity across Dominica today, despite some thunderstorm activity and some showers reported during the morning period. Now tonight's weather is expected to be fair to partly cloudy, hazy and breezy with a few brief isolated showers, and these conditions are expected to continue into tomorrow. Sea conditions are expected to be moderate to rough in open water with waves peaking near 10 feet. A small craft warning is in effect. As a result, small craft operators and sea bathers, you're advised to exercise caution. Conditions for the next 3 days: fair to partly cloudy skies, with few brief isolated showers can be expected throughout the 3-day period. Breezy and hazy conditions can also be expected. For the rest of the Caribbean tomorrow, fair to partly cloudy skies, with few brief isolated showers can be expected across the central and northern portion of the island chain, with an increase in cloudiness and a few scattered showers expected across the extreme southern portion of the region. Our international cities forecast: some rain expected in New York, overcast skies expected in Miami and London, with partly cloudy skies expected in Caracas and Beijing. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:33 a.m. and sunset will be at 6:34 p.m. For more information, you can call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit the website at weather.gov.dm. Thanks for viewing. Have a good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. Venezuelan aid to Dominica not likely to be affected by the current crisis in that country. DOASCO collaborates with PAHO and CAFA in developing a water safety plan for the country. And Nature Island Paper Products about to make a comeback with local investors. Feel free to contact us at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. To our viewers around the world, thanks for watching.